Hi, everybody. I'm still Molly Gordon, for those of you who know, and now those of you who don't do. And this is the September 2015 Wholeness Hangout. And my guest is my friend Susan Motheral. Susan is, I love this. There's so many things this woman could lead with. And she chooses to lead with being a gardener and a scientist by training. She sometimes calls herself a garden goddess. I met Susan, I think, Susan, it was on Salt Spring. Maybe we met before at one of the 3PGC conferences. I don't recall.
I don't know either. I think I'd seen your name or your picture, but I didn't have. I don't think we met. I think it was in Salt Spring.
Yeah, and we had lunch one day with Steve Adair and Tony Fiedler, who've also been guests in the Hangout, and I just liked you so damn much.
Well, it was very mutual.
and then I think we had breakfast too one day. So,
I think we had breakfast at least in 3PGC.
Yeah.
In Minneapolis.
That's it.
A year ago.
Yeah, exactly. So when I was thinking about, in fact, this is kind of potentially the theme today, what do I want to do in September with this hangout? Susan came to mind. I thought I can't think of anything a whole lot more fun than hanging out with you for about an hour and seeing where we go. And so that was the entire inspiration of this was, could we have a good time?
Well, there we go. That's a prerequisite.
Right.
Actually.
Susan is also trained as a coach. She's been through Neill's Supercoach Academy and has been serving on the faculty for a couple of years of Supercoach. She travels a lot. She lives in Fort Worth, which is also her hometown. And I love this, that your coaching space is called the Chrysalis, and it's located in the sanctuary of your butterfly garden.
Yeah. Yeah, a friend of mine helped me figure that one out. I had the butterfly garden already, and I renovated this.
What am I going to call this?
It came to a friend of mine, actually. I can't take credit for it.
That's beautiful.
But I liked it.
Yeah.
And I do occasionally have a chrysalis right outside the door.
Yep. Very cool. My company name Shaboom came to me while gardening.
Oh, it did?
Yeah. I was going to incorporate my business, and my attorney said, please don't call it Molly Gordon Inc. in case you ever want to sell it, which is not exactly, I'm not designed to be a conglomerate, but oh well. And I thought, oh hell, how do you name a company? And I just put it out of my mind, and I'm puttering around in the garden one day, and the old song, Shaboom, Shaboom, yada, 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 goes through my mind, and I thought, that would be such a cool company name. And then the refrain, life could be a dream, floated through, and I thought, well, that kind of covers it.
Yeah, it's cool. I was wondering how you came up with it.
Right. It just came to me. And the cool thing is that was 15 years ago, 16 years ago. And that whole notion of life could be a dream has remained constant, even though I've gone through all kinds of iterations with coaching and dream work and this and that and the 3 principles. But that kind of theme has stayed true. So it's pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah. So when in doubt, garden.
Well, there's nothing more delicious, delightful, lovely than gardening. Yeah. I love the creative, wonderful potential. Well, that's the creative potential right before your eyes. You stick a seed in the sand or in the garden, and next thing you know, you've got an Armenian squad cucumber plant you missed a few, and they're about this big. totally, and,
taking over the world.
Yeah, taking over the world. You could hit the burglar with them. I've got about 4 of them now. They're sitting on the back porch.
Susan's security system are meat flush or cucumbers.
Yeah. Hilarious, actually. It's true.
I was talking with a client the other day who's an artist. He has a very successful business that kind of runs itself. He's in an enviable position. And he was talking about a dilemma that I've seen many creative people have and that I've had in my life, which is you've got oodles of ideas and no one idea seems necessarily more important than another, and you don't know where to start. And you get caught up in a conversation about, does the world really need another widget, another story, another blah, blah. And what came to my mind instantly was the plant world. A flower puts off a completely profligate, ridiculous, inexcusable, unnecessary number of seeds. Mm-hmm. And it seems to work. It doesn't sit around.
They take hold.
And some take hold. And the flower doesn't worry about which one takes hold.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. And I was, and they take hold, and I was just in Alaska. And one of the things that I was struck by was sort of the relentless nature of life, going after life. And there would be these vertical fissures in these great big, couple 100 feet tall rock. Looks like a big rock, right? But it has these fissures in it with no real soil. The water's running down. So there's not going to be much soil, but there's something there for life to take hold, because you'd have these strips of green growing vertically in a rock.
Right. There's something about it. It just wants to live.
Yeah. Wants to live and thrive.
Yeah. Mm. And again, it takes care of itself.
Well, yeah. It takes care of itself.
Whatever that means. I don't know
what does that mean? Yeah. I mean, for a flower, or for seeds, let's just talk about seeds. They're built to do what they need to do because they've evolved that way. Mm-hmm. At least the way I can see life. So that they come in many shapes and sizes, and some have little wings on them, and some the birds eat, and then they leave them around my garden. And it's amazing what kind of volunteer plants come up.
Right. I planted sunflowers this year, and I love watching the birds eat the seeds. And it's always interesting to see where the volunteer sunflowers from the bird poop with seeds come from.
Yeah, well, I have some wild sunflowers that do that every year. They're from the bird food.
Yeah.
Okay, but they seed every year, and we pull a bunch out.
Mm-hmm.
But then I always have sunflowers. It's nice.
That's a nice thing to have. And I guess what I meant was, it takes care of itself. There's something about not all of the hundreds of seeds. I have poppies are coming to mind. One poppy flower has this huge seed pod, which I don't know, 50, 100 seeds in it. And they don't all turn into flowers, and that's okay.
It is okay. It accomplishes the purpose of having more poppies.
Yeah.
And if they all turned into them, there'd be no room on the earth for
poppy
humans.
Domination.
It would be poppy domination or whatever.
Yeah. So, one of the things we talked about, maybe talking about,
yes,
was the notion of what's going on when we want something. And months ago, or it wasn't actually that, I think maybe about 2 months ago, I wrote something about my decision to have a bilateral mastectomy. And the hardest thing that I went through prior to my surgery was one day, the day after I decided to have a bilateral mastectomy, for about 6 hours, I was second guessing myself like crazy.
Oh.
And I was really confused and unhappy. And I finally emailed a friend who'd had a similar cancer 35 years before and had bilateral mastectomy when that's all they knew to do at the time.
Wow.
And I said, can we talk? And she emailed back and said, certainly, and we made a date. But she said something in her email about the hardest thing about this is going to be trying to get it right.
Oh, yeah.
And when I read that, the light went on for me. And I realized that I didn't have a problem. The only problem I had was second guessing my choice and trying to get it right. That I actually knew what I wanted. And there was a way in which just going, oh, I know what I want, so that's what I'm going to go for, returned me to a really nice, settled down place. And you responded to that. And
I did.
Yeah, I'm curious what that meant for you. And I just want to say hi to Sandra. Hi.
Sandra.
Hey, bye.
We're launching into what it is to want what you want and there's lots of nooks and crannies with that. So we're going to see where we're going.
There are lots of nooks and crannies.
Great topic.
I love the way you expressed it, which was something about the beautiful clarity of letting yourself want what you want.
That's what it was. You're right.
Yeah, something like that. And I was so taken with that because sometimes in the principles we think we're not supposed to want stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Or we get real skeptical. But the real issue is when there's clarity, it sets your direction to me.
Yeah.
So it's wanting what you want, desiring what you want. It's your intention.
And that clarity takes it out of, is this right?
Yeah.
So, as long as I was thinking this decision has to be right, I was miserable and fairly crazy. But once I just settled into, I don't know if it's right, it's what I want, we'll go there and see what happens next. And I may or may not like what happens next, but I don't have to worry about that right now.
Well, you can't yeah. Well, because there's no right. There's no absolute right.
Yeah, with that kind of thing.
Yeah, well, Sandra knows this, but other people may not. Well, I had a similar choice to make 19 years ago when I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And I opted for a different thing, but I opted for a lumpectomy and radiation and chemo. And I think I told you that, Molly, this when we first met. And one of the decisions I had to make was whether to do a clinical trial or not. And the decision was I could get leukemia from the clinical trial, and we knew I had breast cancer. So I figured it was better to have leukemia maybe later and get rid of the breast cancer, which was what it was about. And there's just such it's clarity. And the thing that you were talking about just now with the switch that you went through between trying to get it right and clarity is just the difference between having your state of mind,
mm-hmm.
right? Because when you're in a high state of mind, there's clarity.
Right. And
wherever we're trying to figure stuff out and using our little pea brain, it doesn't work very well. It doesn't. It's like using the wrong tool.
It is. And it just happened again in my business. For an embarrassingly long time, I have been wanting to just do a pay what you can thing with coaching. Mm-hmm. And I had all these conversations in my mind about, valuing yourself, valuing your work, setting a good example for all the people I've taught business to, yada, yada, yada. What are you avoiding by not setting prices? And then finally, and it was in a coaching conversation a week or two ago, I just realized, I don't know, it's what I want to do. And so I did it. And as soon as I made the decision, oh my God, everything, the fog cleared. And once again, is it right? Who knows? I'm going to do it until it comes from me to do something else. But what I realized was at the same time, I've been going around in circles. I don't know what I want to do with my business. I don't know what I want to do with my business. I don't know what I want to do with this. And all along, I was arguing with myself about something I knew I wanted to do with my business. And I talk to clients all the time who are confused about, I don't know what I want. And I don't know how to articulate quite what I'm seeing about that, but I see that there was a game I was playing with myself that was making knowing what I want a whole lot harder.
Oh, yeah.
I was trying to answer a different question.
I just got off the phone with my coach in a similar conversation. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe the question I was trying to answer was, what would be smart to want? Somehow I had the question loaded in a tricky way. And it's just very fun to settle down and realize, oh, I know I want something. It's not the direction I was looking in. It's not the thing I thought I should want. So I was missing it. Because when we talked the other day, Susan, we talked a little bit about what's going on when you don't want anything.
Oh, we did. We did. And there was, and I think I mentioned this, and I think it's really interesting that there's been the last time that diagnostic manual they use for psychological issues, they almost put something in a new designation for women who don't desire sexual activity.
Right.
I think is what it was. I think it's what it was. And they didn't do that. And it's like we get ourselves so locked up in thought we can't see anything. I mean, and when there's no clarity. But wisdom always comes, that's another thing. We don't think we're in the principles, it's sort of confused, it seems to me, because if you don't think you're supposed to want stuff, that's part of the wanting. And when it's clear, is our wisdom speaking to us? It's just follow the yellow brick road, silly girl, or whatever, It seems to me. Yeah, but when we get tied up in sometimes it's not even not wanting something as much as not having a clear, just wanting something to be different or have uncertainty be gone. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yes. There's something about that wanting uncertainty to be gone that confuses things in my experience. And I love when clients show up with issues that clarify what's been going on with me. I think that's so nice of them.
Oh, I know. It's amazing how the regularity with which that happens.
And another client this week, actually a couple of them showed up with these questions about, I need to do something in my business, or I need to do something in my life, but I don't have clarity about what it is. And we started to look at how we make up the question we should be asking and answering. It's like, I need to answer the question, what career should I be in? Or what job move should I make? When life is over here saying, make cookies, paint your toenails, or whatever, And when I just make cookies and paint my toenails, the other questions sooner or later come into focus.
Yeah, they do.
But if I keep trying to figure out, it's like, excuse me, I can't be painting my toenails. I have a big question to answer here.
I'm too busy.
I'm too busy confusing myself. And so I'm suspecting that sometimes when I'm confused or think I don't want anything, it's because I'm looking at, I've chosen questions that actually don't want to be answered right now. And I'm not noticing that I've got plenty of information about what I want once I quit trying to control the question. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And part of what happens then when you start getting into that should be right, should be no risk, should, is that your range of possibilities gets so small.
Right.
Right? That you can't, it's not impossible, but it's low likelihood that you're going to see through that.
Right.
In a way that has clarity.
Yeah. So, Sandra, I just wanted to acknowledge, I'm remembering we had lunch in La Conner, didn't we?
We did. Yeah. There was
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. And Christy, welcome back.
Yay. Hi, Christy.
We're a small enough group that, feel free to make a comment or ask a question or, jump in wherever you like. So.
The one comment that occurred to me was it was refreshing to hear you say you were sort of, pay what you want to. I can't remember how you put it with your clients, because I feel like in coaching circles there's so much conversation around charging more and charging more and more and more.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there is. It's. You could think it up that it's heresy.
I like it for that reason.
And I was, and it's funny, I would run across, what's his name? Lovely man, Steve Chandler, or, I'd see something that Rich Litvin posted, or God bless him, Michael Neill. And I think, I just cannot abandon my tribe. It's like, screw my tribe. The other funny thing is, a couple of days after I made the decision, I realized that for about 2 years, I've been toying with the fantasy of closing my company and finding a nonprofit and going to work for them as a coach. I don't need to do that. I have this international platform, a great reputation, 20 years of, network and business structures in place. I can just make my own nonprofit right here.
You can.
It just cracked me up. It's just like, whoa, how simple could this be? And I don't have to deal with a board of directors or a boss. So
even better.
Yeah. Can you imagine walking around, gosh, should I get a job with a community organization? Which one should it be? Again, I was making up the question instead of hearing what was right in front of me. Oh, well.
But even when you say it, it feels like it really comes from like this deep place of integrity. Like,
yeah, it does right now. And, as we were looking earlier, so because I want it doesn't make it right. It doesn't mean that the universe needs to now cooperate and that I will be magically flooded with all the money I need. For all I know, in 6 weeks, I'm going to be saying, hey, wait a minute. I have bills to pay. Anything could happen.
Yeah.
But when I come from this place of I know what I want now and I just go with it, it's the best information I have in the moment, then I'm available to go with the next best information that comes up in the moment. Because you actually mentioned Mandy Evans when we talked.
Yes.
And I looked at a very short clip she had on her website about the only reason people want what they want, which is basically to be happy. And she observed that so often she's seen people say, I'll be happy when. And they set it up so that, I want a new car and then I'll be happy. And I don't want to be happy without the new car. And actually, again, this week, a client, I won't be happy until I move. And until I move and my environment is right, a particular theory she was working under was that for her type of person, inspiration flowed when you're in the right environment.
Oh, I've had that one before.
Yeah. And it was just like, wow, tough box. So anyway, the point was we can't pretend it's like I need to get what I want in order to be happy. We're not talking about wanting in that sense. It's just like wanting is a cue from the inside out that says, look here, go in this direction, try this. It's not a bargain I make with the universe of I'll be happy when you deliver X.
Yes, and it's interesting because Mandy really realizes that.
Yes.
She enjoys, one of the things I just find most delightful about her is she enjoys the deliciousness of wanting something.
Yes.
And the clarity of just wanting something. She just lights up when she talks about something that just, floats your boat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It all has to do with with your well-being not being contingent upon the outcome.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I'm curious, I'm Christy.
Hey, Christy.
Figuring out technology here as I go. So Molly, when you say wanting is the cue to go in that direction, so the direction is happiness?
Well, I would say happiness is is already here, whether I'm noticing it or not. But like the direction is like, the image that's coming to me is like of making art. In any given moment, there are a gazillion things I could do with my life, a gazillion brush strokes I could be making on this painting of my life. And wanting just suggests to me which brushstroke to make.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like,
well, I was kind of thinking of, you talked about cookies and toenails, and those would make you happy.
Yeah, but that it's like the happiness. The happiness comes first. The happiness is already there.
Gotcha.
And there's a way in which, because otherwise, when I'm blue, painting my toenails would be a good strategy for being happy. And it isn't always. But when I'm in a calm state of mind or a happy state of mind and it occurs to me to paint my toenails, I experience more of the happiness that's already there. But there are days when baking cookies or painting my toenails would make me crazy, or would be competing with something else that just wants to happen.
Thank you.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, Chip Chipman always says that one time when he said something to Sid, just tell me what to do. And Sid said, well, just, look in another direction, or just look up or, whatever, just to what already is rather than what I'm wanting. I'm thinking it's not there. And so looking to happiness is already there. So I'm fine with you, and we're saying the same thing. So yeah, you did a good job.
Some kind of miracle.
I think it's magic myself.
I agree.
always opt on the side of magic.
Absolutely. Another aspect of your experience was Mama Gina's School of the Womanly Arts. Speaking of magic, I mean, I don't know much about Mama Gina, but she's always seemed magical to me.
She's a hoot.
Yeah.
She's a hoot. I don't know what I think there's a lot of outside in thinking there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That these things will make you happy.
Yeah.
And strategizing as opposed to understanding more the organic nature of like what you want. When you want something, when you know what you want, maybe that's just your wisdom telling you, I don't have to figure out that my mind is cloudy.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to take a walk.
Mm-hmm.
It's just what I want to do right this minute.
Right.
There's a difference between I will walk at 4:00 every afternoon because I need to clear my head in the afternoon. That's it has a different kind of, or it's trying to meditate.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, in that regard, it's a really good example because when I try to meditate, my mind goes, right? And yet, when I settle into it, it's a wonderful, easy, natural kind of thing to do. And settling in is not something I can program, but when I want to meditate in the morning, I meditate in the morning sometimes. And when I have this urge to meditate in the morning, it's usually spot on in terms of being a quiet, nice time. Does that make sense?
That's to me. Yeah. There's something about just doing what comes up in the moment and having less and less inclination to get into a conversation with myself about what should be coming up in the moment.
Yes.
So this morning, I have a number of business things that need to be done. A couple of website things and some research into some payment structures. It's like, I think I might get rid of my credit card provider and just go to PayPal. And so I've got some decisions to make and some research to do. And I looked at it yesterday and I thought, And I looked at it a bit this morning and I thought, And what I've come to see about myself is I always get that stuff done. And I actually do it quite well. So there's two ways we can get to it getting done. Kicking and screaming. Actually, there's a number of ways. There's kicking and screaming, bitching and moaning, nagging, or just doing it on the day when I finally do it. And it's going to happen one day or another anyway. And I get to choose the quality of the time that is elapsing until it happens.
Yes. And suffer less from the bitching and moaning.
Exactly.
When it's not going to, usually when I get into that with myself, I tell myself to just stuff it and I'm going to go eat a
once I go down that trail, it's just like, I'm gonna kick back. I'm gonna fight back.
Well, yeah, because I don't like to be told what to do by anybody, including myself.
Exactly. So sometimes it looks really counterproductive, but what I've noticed over time is it's a kind of 80-20 principle. 80% of the noise I make about what I do in my life is unnecessary.
That's good. I like that. I'd never thought about the 80-20 applying to that topic.
Oh, it totally is how I see the difference between how I live now and how I have lived in the past. I do it the same way. It's just I've cut out 80% of the noise I make about it.
Yeah.
The debate, and not that I don't do it. I still do a great deal of debating and noise making, but not nearly as much. And it just looks so clear to me. It's like you can make a fuss while you're not doing something.
Or you can go.
Or you can garden until you do it.
Yeah. And it usually doesn't have much impact on the time to getting it done if you make a fuss. if I make
Yeah.
a fuss.
I
Yeah,
find it doesn't.
that's come down for me too.
Yeah. I find that it doesn't. Things either get done or they don't. I mean, there may be some things that never do get done. And then life goes on in that way.
Yes.
Like, there is no book that says if Molly doesn't get her PayPal integration right, the world's going to come to an end.
No, it's not. And if she doesn't get it right, she's not necessarily procrastinating.
Right.
Which is something that's really interesting to me, because all that means is you didn't do something that you thought you should do.
Right. Yeah, the whole procrastination. Somebody asked me the other day, someone in my personal brain trust, when I was talking about who I am as a coach, like, what do I want to be up to? And my friend Michael said, so what makes you crazy about coaching? And it instantly was there. It's like teaching a client a theory to account for how they're living their lives, then training them and helping them develop the muscles to keep that theory in the air and that framework going, so that you can have a conversation about how they are proving or disproving the theory. And it's just like, oh my God, that's such a lot of work. And it's, to me, that's what procrastination is. It's another theory that turns whether or not you do something into a project. So you've got doing it is one project, but now you've got the project of working on why you are or are not doing it. And I just see through those projects anymore. And it's like, why would we help people do that?
Well, yeah. And especially because the notion of procrastination is taken as a malady.
Yes.
As a problem. You know, you're not eating your toast. You're not taking care of making a new business. You're not.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a whole lot of.
You don't see procrastination in the plant world.
No, you really don't. Oh, I forgot to have seeds this year.
Yeah. And there are seeds that don't germinate, but I don't think they sit around and have conversations about, you're procrastinating. You never germinated this year.
That's hilarious. I forgot to make a chrysalis. I'll never turn into a butterfly.
That's right.
Oh, I love that. That's hilarious. Yeah. I'm going to come back to this is sort of it's a tangent, but it keeps coming back to mind just to because you were talking about Rich and Steve and the whole, their whole approach and stuff, except in some ways they just use different words.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the biggest ones that came to me recently is that we talk about clarity, but Rich's whole thing of hell yes or no is the same thing as clarity. If you don't have clarity, if your energy is not going if it's scattered, it doesn't work. Things just don't work.
Right.
And it doesn't mean that sometimes you aren't forced to make a, not great choice, but it's just interesting to me that it's really the same thing we're talking about.
Yeah, I think the difference, when it seems to be a difference, happens at the level of the form or the content.
Oh yeah.
Like when it comes to charging, it starts to look like you need to do this certain kind of thing in order to value yourself or value your customers. But if you look really behind at what they're talking about in terms of how to know what's working for you,
exactly,
and how to find that alignment, they're talking very much the same thing.
Yeah.
Very true. Very true. Yeah. Mm. So Sandra, what's going on in your world these days? If I'm putting you on the spot, so
No, it's fine. I do a lot of this thing that I call brand coaching, and it's something I created before I found the principles, and principles have really helped clarify for me some things I'd been observing. Like I worked in design for a long time, branding very large companies. And there were just certain things I witnessed in that world. Anyway, I created this process where I walk people through a creative process to create their own brands.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's kind of a combination of coaching and consulting.
Mm-hmm.
That I find I really love.
Oh, I love that.
And I feel like I know I need to get over this, but I always feel like I'm a little bit dirty when I talk about it in the 3 principle community, because I'm not just teaching the principles. I'm actually teaching them some basic business.
Good for you.
Skills.
We should have Jackie Ford here. She likes rule breakers.
I like Jackie.
Yeah.
You know, but I always am a little bit quiet. Well, it's a little, because I've recently been doing a lot of work with 3P practitioners, and it's, it's just interesting, various people's responses to what I do. Like it is not unusual for various teachers we know to say, well, it would be better if you were just teaching the principles.
Well,
That's not what's happening at the moment. It's not. It's part of the conversation.
Exactly.
Not the whole conversation.
You know what? To me, it just. I was actually talking to Libby Hodges. I don't know if you all. I know Sandra knows Libby Hodges. She's a 3P practitioner in England. We were talking yesterday though about finding your distinctive voice, and that's really what your work is about. Is distinctive voice.
Well, it's I think of branding as the vision behind everything you do, and, include, and that informs the graphics. But it's a fundamental building block in any business to just be clear what you're up to and how that aligns with who you truly are.
Sure, and that's going to produce a voice and a look and a feel. Yeah. No, I love that, Sandra. And actually, if I'm not mistaken, and I could well be, but I think I've seen some of your posts on Facebook about things you're doing, and I've admired it. And I think that it's important. It's important that we play at the edges of things. I mean, understanding the 3 principles doesn't obviate the value of a good cookbook, a good branding consultant, a person of, a fitness trainer. I think it puts those conversations in a different light. So for some reason, fitness sparks for me. I was walking down the hill yesterday and from my radiation treatment, and just in the last few days I've started feeling strong again, and I'm really happy about that. It feels really good. And at the same time, as I'm walking down the hill, I went, oh, that's interesting. I have this idea that that this is a better way to be in a body than it was 3 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And that's okay. I really enjoy how I'm feeling, and I'm glad that I'm enjoying it. But suddenly I got this, I just saw how the ideals we spin for all our different areas of expertise, whether it's personal training or business or how much you should charge or physical health or how to raise children, how children should be. Should they be autistic? Should they not be autistic? We come up with standards and ideals that are empowering when it's the right conversation to be for someone to be in. So if you're working with an athlete who's, if Serena Williams is having a conversation with her trainer about something she can do to buff up, that seems like a really good idea. But for somebody else to be in a conversation thinking they should turn into Serena Williams, that would be a massive fail. And so I don't know, I'm not articulating this very well, but I just saw how easy it is to generalize and idealize standards. And I think that's true within the principles community too. And we start spontaneously generating these rules about what a practitioner should look like and not look like. So, I don't know.
Well, and some people, some of the more prominent teachers, are speaking those rules.
That's true.
And I'm just like, this is what I'm guided to do. I have fought it. I tried to deny that this was what I was supposed to do. And it didn't go well.
Yeah.
Let's see. I have great clarity when I want what I want. And I allow myself to want what I want.
Because I do these monthly free clinics to talk about branding, and I can get really excited about this.
It's so great.
There's part of me that tries to hold back, but it's like I could get on my little soapbox. There's a lot of energy.
Cool. Yeah. Well, I think the proof is in the pudding. I love how you light up. And it's what more evidence do we need?
Yeah.
Than that. Yeah. Absolutely.
Molly, I hope you don't mind me asking, but are you dealing with cancer or something?
Yes. I was diagnosed with breast cancer in early June, and on July 14th, I had a bilateral mastectomy. I entered a clinical trial for chemo that placed me in the non-chemo group, which is fine. There was no compelling reason with my particular tumor type to get chemo. And I just started radiation on Wednesday, the actual treatments, and that will go on till October 20th, I think. So, yeah. But it's kind of funny. People, do I have cancer? I have friends who have been diagnosed with cancer who are adamant about saying, as far as I know, I'm cancer-free. And that sounds accurate as far as I know. But I don't feel adamant about any aspect of this.
Well, I have a friend who's got a pretty advanced stage of rectal cancer right now. And he looks so healthy and vibrant. And he's like, well, there's just one little piece of my body has cancer. Right. The rest is good.
Exactly.
Oh, nice. That's really
Isn't that nice?
Yeah. I went to see some films with my husband last night, and a woman who came up to me who only knows my story from Facebook, and she said, "You look so good."
And I thought, expect you to look like death.
I've had 2 tiny shots of radiation. If I get tired, it'll be down the road a ways. And as far as I know, there's nothing wrong with me. I've got some amazing pneumatic boobs, but that's not actually a problem.
What does that even mean? I don't even know if I should ask.
That's a new way to call them. Yeah.
It was funny. They I can't believe. Oh well, people you get
they inflate
on a Wholeness Hangout. I started reconstruction right at the same time as the surgery, and they're not actually, they're inflated with saline, actually, not air, but they feel pneumatic to me. The radiation techs had to draw the radiation field on for the very first treatment. and it was in brilliant purple marker. And as I'm getting off the table, the gal asked, "What color bra did you wear?" And I said, "Honey, these puppies aren't going anywhere. I did not wear a bra." There is no movement happening on my chest. I can't imagine harnessing this. So anyway, now everyone has way more information than me. But.
Well, it's good though. I have loved, actually, one of the things I've loved, Molly, is the way that with Caring Bridge, you've shared so much of your experience, because there wasn't that forum really available when I did, but it really helps because it's not a mystery any longer.
Yes.
And I mean, sometimes I work with cancer patients. I love it, especially when they're first diagnosed, because there's so many mysteries and stuff that are really common to all of us. Right? And when you can clear those, it just makes it
so exciting for me, because for whatever reason, that's just my native. The first thing I did after my biopsy was sit down and write about it. It's like,
that's cool.
And it occurred to me, I thought, who are you? And I thought, I'm the person who writes about this shit. So, nobody has to care. I just do this. Yeah. And imagining that for some people, just having a window on the experience could alleviate some stress, just really makes me happy.
Yeah.
And it alleviates it for me. There's something about being able to share it that, I don't know, gives it a certain dignity and value. It's like,
oh, it is. And I went to a cancer support group and once a week, and we would go around the circle. It was all sorts of people, not just, males, females, all sorts of cancer. And we'd share what was going on with our treatment, and it was useful.
Yeah.
Rather than having it in your head.
Spin in your head, right.
Exactly.
Right. And it's kind of entertaining. Because one of my last posts I wrote about what a friend on Facebook calls boobs, fake boobs.
Oh.
And, I wrote that.
I loved that.
Isn't that great?
Hilarious.
They're the wrong shape. And I used that word and I thought, oh, my friends in the principals community are going to be all over me. But I'm sorry, they're wrong. I'm not upset about it, but I can't help but notice.
Oh my God. I live in Northern California. I live in the land of boobs.
Yep. That's great.
But people that have elected,
Yes.
Just for fun, I guess.
So I hope some of the humor comes through in some of those. I really did start to edit, and I thought, oh hell.
There's so much serious. Serious stuff.
Yeah.
And holding on to it. Like I stopped a few years ago calling myself a survivor.
Right.
Because I'm not surviving. I'm alive. I'm living.
Yeah,
I'm here. If it comes back, it comes back. Low likelihood now, but I'll tell you, this is one of my little cardinal stories, but at 11 years, I noticed, just in one of those brief moments that I was a little cocky. I've made it to 11 years. It's over. And do you know that like a couple of days later, I was in the car listening to national NPR, like All Things Considered in the afternoon, and there was a story about a woman whose breast cancer came back after 11 years.
Oh, God. Whap, whap.
It was perfect. I said, okay, I got it. I heard that one. I stand grateful.
Yeah, exactly. It just seems so clear to me that life happens.
It does.
And I don't see myself as a survivor. I don't even see myself as a thriver. I don't want that much pressure.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
I don't, My goofy mind, thriver, all of a sudden I've got a whole standard I have to live up to. I'm not going there.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's like, it's life happens. And at 64, I may have cancer again, or at 73, I may have cancer again, and I may never have cancer again. And it honestly, and I do credit the principles with this, it doesn't, those questions don't seem like a big deal to me. You know,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying that in the moment, if I were to be diagnosed with advanced cancer, that I wouldn't freak out. I have no idea. I have no opinion about that. It's not what's happening right now.
Yeah.
But I am so grateful that I don't have to worry about anything that's not happening right now. Which kind of goes back, it's another version of that 80-20. It's like, I just don't have an opinion because I don't have a clue, because it's not going on and I don't have to worry about it.
That's so sweet.
Yeah. That's a huge gift. I mean,
Takes a lot of pressure off.
huge amount of pressure off. Yeah.
Can I make a comment?
Please, yes.
Oh shoot.
Oh,
You might have just frozen, Sandra.
I did. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I don't know if you heard me.
Yeah.
No, you didn't.
At some point when you were talking about the thriving and the pressure, it reminded me of I was visiting a friend in Portland recently. We were walking down the street and there was this little girl had on a shirt that said, "Be amazing today." And I looked at my friend, I was like, I don't want to be amazing today. And we started joking, like, be yourself, be subpar. And it was like the week.
Be normal. Mediocre.
Just embrace it, like
Exactly. Oh,
and I
Sandra,
just felt
I
like
don't see
my
that.
whole being relaxed, like, yeah, I just want to be like what other people might consider subpar.
Yes. Yes. I think I'll fall short of the mark today.
Yeah, I'm not going to be amazing today. It's just not.
I know. I put quotes out on Instagram and often on Facebook, and at some point I may have to just stop because other people's usually piss me off. So I'm not sure what I'm doing. I shouldn't actually say piss me off because that's not accurate, but I see an inspiring quote and I go, really? Do we have to? It's so easy for good ideas and insights to become rules and prescriptions, and it's nice to be able to see through that. Well, Christy, do you have anything you want to say before we wrap this puppy up?
Just that I have been listening to what people have saying, but this is my first experience like this with technology, and I am just so curious about what it's going to be like when I get comfortable with it.
Yeah.
Because what I see with you three is that you're comfortable, that's coming across to me. And I'm just being where I am with it, just completely blown away, and amazed at how amazing it is that the four of us are connecting via this technology. And that's kind of how I'm starting to look at the three principles. Is I'm a cook, so they're an ingredients or a technology, just the principles are just a fact, a way of, and then I can feel that experience with you for right now via this technology, and I have just had the best time. I'm amazed I got on here, and
I love
I'm amazed you all were still on here by the time I got on here, and I'm in. I'm in for all of it, because what I realize is that what is very pliable. And that's probably why I will never fully grasp you know what I mean, or be able to cement or, you know, concretize or whatever that word is, any of anything. And that's why that expression, Molly, you said it's, you know, just is what it is. And forever changing in the most beautiful, amazing way. And today has been one of those experiences that I am logging in as an amazing day. Doing this with you all. And Molly's my most techie person I know. I don't have very many people in my life to help me get this, so I stumble along. You know what I mean? And I'm here.
Yeah, I was so thrilled when you showed up. That's so fabulous. And your picture is crystal clear.
It is.
Yay.
Yeah, you're the clearest of all of us. That's great.
Yes, so I don't have to do anything. just kind of just keep painting my toenails and making cookies and seeing if I can get on Zoom. How's
That's
that?
right. That's right. That's my recipe.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Susan, anything you want to say in closing?
Well, it was a wonderful conversation. I loved being with the three of you. I've seen you, Christy, at like 3PGC or in Salt Spring Island. I remember you now. I want to put in a plug for Sandra because I'm working with her and it's terrific. And I do think those people who poo-poo it or whatever just don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Well, there are other people, just in defense of other people, like when I came out of the closet to Kathy Casey, she got all excited. Like, more people should be doing stuff like that. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because it's an aspect of having a business is being able to voice yourself and voice beyond just your words.
Yes.
You know, your bigger, your brand.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. It's
even when I
very
argue with her, she's pretty cool. We don't have to do all that, Susan. Thank you all for being here. Thank you.
Yeah.
It was
And
wonderful.
Sandra, maybe you and I can talk. We ought to do a hangout sometime and talk about what you're doing with people. I think that would be a gas.
I'd be happy to. I'd be happy. I'd also
follow
like to know more what you do besides this.
Have conversations and find out where they go. But we can do that too.
Anyway, it was really, I loved listening to the two of you talk. It was really great.
It was fun. All right, guys.
Okay.
Thanks a million. Take care,
Thanks.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.